Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
Why do you keep telling me to go on with those pills? I feel fine. I have never felt better. My nerves are fine the way they are.
This is episode 209, recorded June 16th, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
Hello. I am your host, Jeff Mohr. This podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts, Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. On this podcast, we start with a few details about the film, and then get into our first impressions and go on from there with whatever interests us about the film. But here's the Grue-Crew. First up, joining me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl and co-host of the Gruesome Magazine podcast. How are you, Crystal?
I'm great. I mean, just been popping pills. I'm like, how dramatic was she though? I guess it's kind of like a guy being like, you really need those pills. I could tell a difference. Woo.
Yep, you're not taking your pills. Well, normally Chad Hunt is with us, but he couldn't be here tonight. Mother Nature says you have no power. So anyway,
nice.
Hopefully he'll get that back soon. But also with us is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, and special effects guru, co-host of Decades of Horror in the 1970s, and an all-around nice guy.
Thank you.
How are you, Bill?
Doing great. I'm in South Carolina at my friend Scott Perry's absolutely amazing house with one of my favorite people, Emily Vassilos, an actress who has flown out, and we're shooting a bunch of short films.
Oh, wow.
And yes, Scott generously offered his house as a place to do it because it's so cool. It's got so many different rooms that you can shoot in 5 different rooms, and it feels like 5 different buildings, 5 different houses. It's just been a lot of fun. Tiny crew, which I learned is possible to do from working with one Crystal Cleveland, who showed me that you can actually knock out some good stuff without a whole lot of people, and it's a lot easier to feed a small crew.
That's for sure.
Yeah, so it's just been a lot of fun being around some of my favorite folks, and I'll be around a few more too. So,
yay!
Yeah, I think you've been kind of busy since our last episode, didn't you? Was it Con Carolinas in between too?
Oh yeah.
It's been this summer. This summer is going to be a whirlwind. My wife and I are both doing a lot of traveling to touch base with family, and she's going to be going on a cruise with her sister. I have this little artistic vacation going on, so it's going to be a whirlwind summer. It's been a couple of years to be able to do creative things other than podcasting. Thank God for podcasting, which was a lifeline for a lot of us, but now things are sort of opening up. Of course, there's always challenges, aren't there? Thankfully, I did not invest heavily in cryptocurrency, so I still can afford ramen noodles. My apologies for anyone out there who invested in cryptocurrency. You did not come on the podcast to get another reason to jump out a window, but there you
go. Well, let's get to our topic for today. And of course, we are a spoiler podcast because today's movie was released 41 years ago. So, hey, if you haven't seen it, go to Shudder right now, watch it, come back, watch the podcast. The House by the Cemetery.
And here's the spoiler alert. It's a Fulci movie, so none of it makes sense, and a lot of people die.
They do. And there's maggots. And
always, yes.
And stuff that you can't even tell what it is. So anyway, directed by Lucio Fulci, written by Dardano Sacchetti and Giorgio Mariuzzo, and Fulci. Actually, there was somebody that did the original story too. Give her quick credit here. Elisa Livia Briganti, or Elisa Livia Briganti. And it also says on IMDb, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Wait, what? No.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
He wrote stories about
one
houses.
character's name is Wheatley, so there is that. I mean, all right. The cast includes Catriona McCall, Paolo Malco, Anya Peroni, Giovanni Frezza, Silvia Colatina, Dagmar Sander. Produced by Fulvia Films. The filming dates were March 16th through May 1981. It was released August 14th, 1981 in Italy. And the release dates for the U.S. are a little schizophrenic because I had March 1st. I also had March 30th in New York City. And I also had June 1st in all those in 1984 in the U.S. So about 3 years later in the U.S. Let's see, the budget was 600 million lira, which, as best as I could calculate with my historical currency translator, that's not the word I want, but anyway, it'll come to me, which is about $490,000. Box office in Italy, about 1.4 billion lira, which is around $1.2 million. And I did see a comment that was the best earning, Fulci's best earning film in Italy. So, I don't know. Also known as Quella Villa Accanto al Cimitero. I don't know. That's the Italian. And then there was another zombie Hell House. That's got to be some weird U.S. release, I guess. And the synopsis: a New England home is terrorized by a series of murders. Unbeknownst, I love that word, unbeknownst. Has anybody ever used beknownst?
No.
Beknownst to him. Unbeknownst to the guest that a gruesome secret is hiding in the basement.
Yep.
And this is Anya Peroni shortly before she leaves the movie.
Yeah.
For the most part. All right. Well, let's get to first impressions here first. I forgot. This was my pick.
Oh.
So you guys turned me on to Fulci. And just a quick one. This is the first film that this version of the 80s Grue-Crew did was City of the Living Dead, or The Gates of Hell. The first of the so-called Gates of Hell trilogy, almost 3 years ago.
Wow. Seems so long ago.
Episode 145. So I don't know. I just felt like we needed to finish this off. Another crew did From Beyond, but we may do that again. Who knows? But I just, you guys turned me on to Fulci with Zombie. I think was the first Fulci I watched when we did it for 70s.
Yes.
And I thought this is crazy pants. I got to watch more of these. So I did, and I like this one too. And lots of good gore, goo, atmospheric music, long drawn out gore scenes, I guess. I don't know what else to call them.
Right.
Kill scenes. It's not enough to slit somebody's throat. You have to do it from 3 different angles.
Absolutely.
And, stabbing somebody in the stomach and having their insides pour out, which actually look more like maggots and diarrhea than in stomach. Because he was the creature hiding in the basement. But anyway, I like this a lot, and I like the actors. And for the most part, these films, I was just reading today that the scripts are written in English, so that it's, but they dub them, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
And the only bad part of the dubbing for me was the little kid. is horrendous.
Yeah, it was dreadful.
We could talk about that later.
Oh yeah,
but what's that?
We will, certainly.
Yes, we will. So I'll just stop there. It's typical Fulci, a little more coherent, although you do kind of wonder what's going on in that last scene. You don't know for sure, so we'll find out what people think of that. So let's go to Crystal next. What'd you think of The House by the Cemetery?
I love this movie. I love this movie. I feel like this movie actually has a cohesive story and it makes sense. I mean, as far as Fulci makes sense. I mean, there are maggots. There's lots of blood. Obviously, there's some up close gruesome kills. Like and it starts off with an up close gruesome kill. It's the first, opening scene. So, yeah, the dubbing, I don't know. The dubbing always throws me off every time I first start watching one of these, and then I just get used to it, and it's not that big of a deal for some reason. I don't know. It's an odd thing, because you think it's something that would really turn you off, because like it's pretty off. But it would be worse if we couldn't hear it, I think. So, win some, you lose some. But it's shot really well. I love the music. I like the story. I think it's weird. I mean, he's some sort of like creature that regenerates through killing people and taking their DNA or something. I don't know what he's doing to them, but sure, I'll buy it.
Sure. I don't know the story in the book.
I don't understand why he had killed so many people and looked so bad, but I mean, that's weird, but okay. I want
to live forever.
Yeah, it's odd. And
Even though I'm so ugly, I won't show my face out of the basement like this.
Also, did the kid die at the end?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Yes. Like he was with the ghost, right? Okay, so that's what I thought too. I mean, it's like I remember seeing this movie, but I don't remember this movie at all. I'm sure when I was younger, I just whatever, But this time I was really watching, and I was like, wow, I forgot this movie, and I really like it. I don't know. I like the little kids. I know they're creepy, and they are creepy, but they're really good at what they do. Like, I mean, the little boy's actually really cute at points, and this movie's really good. I really enjoyed it. So I mean, I understand that Fulci and all these Italian films are an acquired taste for some, but I think if you like them, you pretty much accept most of them. You're like, yeah.
You like one, you like them all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All righty. Bill, how about you?
I didn't think that little kid was cute at all.
Really?
If Klaus Kinski had an illegitimate son, and I'm pretty sure he did, I think it would look something like that. That weird-looking child. I mean, I don't want to. He's grown up now. Kick my ass. Intense blue eyes, the big Mick Jagger lips. But all that's fine. He's a kid. He looks the way he is. But that dubbing, that horrible dubbing, they find. I feel like they only had like a few people to dub, and they instead of hiring someone to do the kids, they just took whoever was dubbing the women and said, use an even higher voice, and you can be the child. And that was dreadful. But okay, so this is not my favorite of the what they call the Dead trilogy, although there is no linkage between any of them. But it's pretty cool. I don't know why it took 5 people to write this story, because there is no story. It's about a house by the cemetery. Literally, the first shot is the cemetery, and we pan over to the house. So you're like, well, it's nice to have a movie that doesn't lie to you. I appreciate that. Most of this movie, though, is people walking around in the house by the cemetery, calling out people's names. So if you took a shot every time someone said Bob, Kevin, Jane, Bob, it's like, I think Bob would have heard you the first time. And they just call out names until they run into something. Maybe Dr. Freudstein, maybe not. It takes a really long time to reveal it. And my friends who are here watching this, Emily and Scott, were saying they hope by the end of this podcast I could explain to them what exactly happened in this movie. I'm just like, Fulci. I mean, at the end, the husband comes running in and reveals to us that, this guy is keeping himself immortal, by regenerating through murders. And I don't know what part of his hindquarters he pulled that out of, because there is nothing in the movie to explain.
Well, he was doing research, so you just have to assume that he found it.
He found the right book. But, you raise a good point. This is clearly not working. This is the gnarliest looking zombie.
Yeah.
I don't know why no one ever cosplays as this guy, because I would buy them a beer on the spot. This is a disgusting looking husk of a zombie with, I don't know why he can see, because his eyes are not there. He's got one good arm, so I'm guessing that the people he's killed have regenerated his one good arm. He's got one hand that looks normal, and the other one is just all maggoty and wretched. He's like all dried up and just nasty looking. Even before he gets cut, maggots pour out. You don't want to be touched by this guy. He's also slow.
Yeah.
I mean, you say if you're going any slower, be going backwards. Most of the shots, he's walking backwards. He still manages to catch up with these people. They're not that smart. Fulci movies are where normal people, just stand there while slow-moving zombies grab them by the back of the head and squeeze their brains out, or cut their throat one way and then cut it the other way, and they make no effort to protect themselves.
Yep.
Everyone who's watching just screams, makes no effort to protect them. It's like, okay, sacrificial lambs. So, yeah, it's a great grindhouse movie. It's so pretty to look at. Fulci just has this bad reputation of being kind of a hack filmmaker, and I think it's really because the first few I saw this movie a long time ago because it was in every Blockbuster video. Every little video store had House by the Cemetery, but they made it look like a slasher movie, and I'm not a big slasher fan. If I'd known, when I found out it had zombies, I grabbed onto it, but it was a pretty bad copy. It was grainy, very low contrast, and I always got the feeling Fulci was just kind of hacky. And now Shudder and other places are showing his movies the way they were meant to be shown. No, his stuff is pretty good. At least the stuff around the early 80s, late 70s and everything. He knew how to tell a story. He had good cinematographers, good music, great effects people. His stuff looks really sharp. It's a really well-made movie. And it did have one good jump scare that made Emily literally scream. So,
oh, wow.
I think it was toward the end when the little boy got grabbed or something.
When they pulled him up or something?
Yeah. So, but no, does it make sense? No. Does the ending hold together? I guess, if you assume that the poor little kid didn't quite make it out, but he spared us watching him get killed. Yeah,
that's what I think that was supposed to be, which is fine.
I'm guessing he never really got out from that tomb that they have inside the house. Hey, would you live in a house? You got a woman who has a nervous disposition, has to take pills, has had a nervous breakdown, right? Are you a good husband if you move her into a house, not only by a cemetery that literally has a cemetery in the middle of it? I say no.
Well, Bill, that's debatable. I could debate with you all day long on this movie because there's a couple things here. For one, cemeteries are super calming and they're super relaxing for me. Okay. So, see, some people feel more comfortable with the. I would. Let me tell you, when we were looking for our house, I looked everywhere for one that had there was one that had a cemetery in the backyard. It was just in the middle of nowhere, though. I was like, that's too bad.
Crystal, it's never too late to start.
I'm not going to give up my land for someone just to lay there. No, now it's mine.
A house where the researcher was living with his research assistant.
Okay, that's weirder. Yeah.
And then kills her and then hangs himself.
Is that the same? See, I got confused as to house, yeah. Okay, because they said that, we had this one house and then we lost this house, and I was like, what? Okay, so which house are they in now? And then what I didn't understand too is, it's like I said, Fulci, you either like him or you don't. It's kind of a thing. It just is what it is with Fulci. Like, some people will never like him. They'll never see the filmmaking or the real genius behind it. I mean, and that's okay. I get it. It looks like a hack movie and it looks stupid and silly and they don't understand the stories. Okay. more power to you. But here's the thing. I mean, a lot of it doesn't make sense. Because, like, what was the deal with the fact that they thought that he had been there before with the daughter? What was that about?
I don't know.
Because that wasn't explained. And so I was like, wait, what's that? They're like, but you've been here before. No. And actually, what's interesting about it, too, is Fulci throws you off because you think that the dad is bad because he's like, when she said, you've been here, he takes forever to respond. Yeah, he takes forever. Or, yeah, we could have all three of us. Like, he takes forever to respond. He doesn't even, he's like, no. I mean, he does all this creepy, weird stuff.
Like,
and so yeah, and that's what I thought at first until the guy said, you and your daughter. And he's like, no.
The girl with the big eyebrows, was she part of this? Because I thought, well,
that's what I thought too.
Until she gets killed, and like, well, okay, so what?
I don't
know.
Same with the real estate agent. Why did she act so weird and ignore her when she was walking down the street?
Right.
I don't know.
No, but were you done?
Yeah. Oh, Bill. Yeah, were you done, Bill?
What more is there to say? I mean,
Okay. Well, let's take a time out here for a second.
What Crystal was saying about Fulci, it's part of the problem is that some of the movies of his that got released the most were some of the later ones, like New York Ripper, Manhattan Baby. Those are not Cat in the Brain. Those are not his best. Budgets were low, and they have a really mean misogynistic streak to them. So I think it gave people the wrong idea. His earlier stuff, when the budgets were better, when his health was better too.
This one's super misogynistic, though, too.
But
New York Ripper
compared to New York Ripper, this is Lilith Fair. I mean,
Lilith Fair. Shut up. That's funny, actually.
Just to add to what you guys are saying about the story, and when people caught on to him, according to the information here, that apparently one of the early VHS issues of this film in the U.S. had several of the reels out of order.
Oh gosh, maybe this explains why I don't remember.
Erratic story.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Sure.
It already confused me with the mannequin nanny lookalike. But then you realize she does kind of basically get her head chopped off. And so that was the ghost, but you didn't know she was a ghost at that point. Until, I guess, when she psychically talks to the boy. There's just a lot in this movie, okay?
Okay, let's stop for just a second and do taglines. And since Chad's not here, and Crystal did the quote, we'll let Bill do the taglines.
Oh, great. Taglines. We just love our taglines.
That's not too many.
Beware the demon forces of the blood beasts. I'm pretty sure that was for a different movie.
Yeah, weird.
All right, number 2. Past and present collide in a vortex of fear.
Okay. I mean, I guess because of ghosts, but...
This one asks a question. Can anyone survive the demented, marauding zombies in House by the Cemetery? I don't think there were zombies.
No.
Demented? I mean, who's to say? And then the final one. Read the fine print. You may have just mortgaged your life. Well, that's very true today. I mean,
but boy. I don't even think that they didn't buy that house.
No.
So no, they didn't. But okay. I'm sorry. I'm very
once
specific.
Again.
Yeah.
People that probably didn't actually see the movie.
Yeah.
They just threw darts at a dartboard with a bunch of old taglines.
So you asked some good questions. So we've got what's with the mannequin who gets beheaded and is all bloody and everything? What's with the people that think they've seen Norman before? He's been here about 6 months ago with his daughter.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of what's with the real estate agent that doesn't like hides and walks by when she calls her name or waves
Who's
at
the
her.
wormy? What's with the wormy guy that they give him who, like knows about the previous owner and seems really strange.
It's just a guy that Fulci used apparently and just gave him a part because it has nothing to do with anything.
Nothing to do with anything. Doesn't show up again. Doesn't die. And also, are these the worst parents ever?
Yes.
They think,
yes.
I'm going to just leave my child in this car. Then they're surprised when they come out and the kid's missing. I think that's the default expectation. Then they find him in the park and he's with the most horrifying doll in horror movie history, missing a leg, and it should just immediately be burned in a fire, but they're okay with that. Yeah.
It's pretty much gotten to where when I hear somebody in a movie say, "You stay here, don't move," I go, "Well, that's not happening." I mean,
obviously, yeah.
Social services gets called on your ass if you leave your kid in the car these days.
He was old enough since he's old enough to get out of the car, but still, like, they also know that they can't get in this door. I don't understand. Yeah, no. I'm real bothered by certain things.
Crystal, you're made of tougher stuff than I am. You put me in a house by a cemetery, and there's an actual cemetery in the middle of the house. You go, don't step on that. It's the tomb of God knows who. and we've walled up the basement. And don't ask why. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to a Best Western tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and his wife, who apparently doesn't like to take her pills. The father says, or the husband says, "Oh, you'll get used to it." I think to the tomb in the house. I mean, isn't that kind of what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it must have been something they did around here or something. Well,
he said lots of homes have tubes in them.
Which is a bald-faced lie. I've been in many.
Yeah, that's.
I've never seen one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, okay.
This is the Italian poster, and I don't know, Bill, if you had heard this or not, but she's always billed. Catriona is always billed as Catherine.
Isn't it Katrina?
Well, I can either way.
Okay.
I watched some extras on some videos, and everybody called her Catriona.
She's got the least.
All I think about is the outsider. I mean, the Outlander.
Right.
She's
and
Katrina.
And she said, or Katrina for those of you from Scotland.
Okay.
He actually said that in one place. So anyway, but anyway, the point being that apparently Ona in Italian, that suffix means big. So like being Catriona was like calling her Big Kathy or something.
Oh, that's weird.
So that's why they told her to change her name, and then they just did it, so.
It's a cool poster.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The guy in the poster does not appear anywhere in the movie.
No, but every poster has, I noticed this trend. Notice here we have a knife, a house, and a cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's an Italian poster. Then we have the U.S. poster, house by the cemetery.
That's the American one. That's the one that made me
read the fine print. Guess what? A knife, a house, and a cemetery. Oh, and lightning. We also have lightning. Was there lightning in the other one?
I kind of like.
No.
I kind of like that one though. I like
that. It's a cool poster.
And then both of these have a house, a knife, and a cemetery. And then we go to the German poster, and we have a house, a knife, a cemetery, lightning, and a woman.
And I guess it's funny that they showed the creature, I guess, twice, the person. And he didn't even have long hair.
Oh, that is. Yeah.
He had no hair at all.
He didn't have any hair. That's interesting. Yeah. So this is Das Haus an der Friedhofmauer, which he said, the translation says the house by the cemetery wall.
Okay. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's always takes more syllables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Nacht des Gruens. That's the night of horrors.
I mean, these are all cool posters. I like that artistic style.
Me too.
I think
well, it's interesting how
put zombies in there. But.
It's interesting to me how so many people went. It's like the other copies, the other posters said, okay, so we got to have these elements. So we're going to do this guy with the long hair and the knife. That's going to be in there, even though there is no guy with long hair and a knife in the movie. But every single poster with a guy, with the killer on it is in there.
Well, it makes a lot of sense when Bill said it looks like he thought it was a slasher based on those posters. It's literally I mean, that's the epitome of what a slasher poster should look like. I mean,
and they sat on this movie it came out in 81, but you said it was 84 before it got to America. So I'm guessing they just thought that monsters were not what people wanted. It was slashers. So they advertised it kind of as that.
Interesting.
So we have Lucio Fulci, that's a picture of him in I think in Contraband.
And he was in this movie. He had a bit part in this.
Yeah. He was?
He does.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
He was the guy walking down the street with Norman.
Smoking the pipe.
Got in the car and drove away when they were still in New York. He always plays a Hitchcock type bit. Well, more of a part than Hitchcock because he usually has lines, but not very many.
Right. Then he played himself in Cat on the Brain, which we'll have to do one day. That's a weird movie. But here's the 4 that we've done on Decades of Horror.
Yeah. So we did Zombie in 70s quite a while ago.
Wait, so Gates of Hell?
We did that. Didn't you choose that?
Wasn't that your City pick? Of the Living Dead is.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
That's so confusing how they have the different names.
Right.
That's what for some reason that's what I was thinking was the movie with Michael.
Yes.
For some reason.
No, I agree. That's what I would have thought too.
That's the one with the priest hangs himself and then keeps showing up.
And there was kind of a callback in this movie when he's chopping, and it's pretty effective actually when he's chopping the door with the axe and barely missing his poor kid who's got his head pressed up against the door. That reminded me of City of the Living Dead, where the guy's trying to get the woman out from being buried alive.
Yes, exactly.
Pickaxe dangerously close to her head.
Yeah, and then that also has the woman whose guts start coming out of her mouth.
Right.
Yes, and it just keeps spewing and spewing and spewing forever. Yeah.
So I was watching some videos where the crew and the actors were talking about Fulci, and every one of them would start off by saying he has this reputation for being like a real hard ass or asshole or being, whatever. And then they would go into, but that's not real. But then you'd find out, he really is, but he can be sweet. He's like anybody. He's multifaceted, and he doesn't screw around on set. He wants shit done right, and he wants it the first time. But yet he would still do things, very sweet and kind things for different people.
Yeah.
All the actors said, like it took me a while to get used to him, but after that I loved him. So I don't know. They might have been at a Fulci tribute when they did the interview, so you gotta say good things, but I just think he was an eccentric character that
he was eccentric, and toward the end of his life he also was in very poor health, which I'm sure but had to work to support his family and everything, and pretty much looked like he was working right up to the end.
Well, and I think, isn't Zombie pretty much his first horror movie?
Zombie is the one I think everyone mainly thinks about when they think about.
But I think he did some Giallo.
He did Giallo, yeah. I mean, he's done other stuff that we'll do. I keep thinking about doing How to Torture a Cat.
Torture a Duckling,
Torture a Duckling, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Got that mixed up with that.
Torture a Duckling.
He's got a ton of Giallos, which I haven't watched near enough.
He had one that had such realistic special effects that they actually got put on trial and had to prove that what looked like dogs being tortured in a laboratory was just a really well done fake.
Torture a Duckling, Dracula. Oh, he did some I'm looking at screenplays too. So,
Black Cat, was that your choice?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, yeah. I remember that.
So that was,
I remember him, but sorry.
It's interesting because those 3 Gates of Hell movies and Black Cat came out in 80 and 81, like just back to back to back, and Miss McCall actually said we pretty much moved from the first one right into the second one, or you know,
yeah.
It's,
I think part of what made Fulci kind of got his reputation is you think when these films came out, shortly afterwards is when the video store explosion happened, and they were hungry for content, and they got these. The horror section was those big giant clamshell boxes. Every single place had zombie.
Yeah.
Most of them had, you know, a few of these. They had the Beyond, but they had terrible edited versions of the Beyond, so it didn't get its reputation until a few years later when we started seeing this. So he did get some early recognition, but a lot of it was negative because I think, again, of the poor quality of the releases. It's through no fault of his own.
And
he's getting it back.
Blue Underground's putting them all out in 4K Ultra HD now.
Oh, that's neat.
So,
Nice.
Interesting. It's a wonderful time we're living in some areas.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the leads, the husband and wife. Is it just Paolo, Malco, Norman, and Lucy?
Yeah.
I thought they both were really good.
Yeah,
I think they're excellent. They're excellent.
Yeah, he's got a kind of everyman quality to him, but you know, worked well. It worked well. Neither one's given a whole lot to do. Her a bit more, and she does. She's a good screamer. You do believe she's trying to get her son out of the door, despite the fact that she breaks the key, breaks the knife, breaks everything except the door.
Oh God, that's so annoying. Okay, see, I don't want to talk. That's so annoying to me too. But then that is the one thing about. I think that's like that irritation is part of the Fulci charm, though, because it's like hate, but you're like, okay, you know, like she just watched her husband die. Yeah. She didn't even help.
It's like a forever scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's working on that key, and you're going, well, that's going to break. But it takes like a minute of film time to do it.
Yeah. Well, and then she just letting her husband die, and then it's like, okay.
People in Fulci's movies don't always behave rationally. Like in The Beyond, which is my favorite of the bunch, you have all these slow-moving, and I mean slow-moving zombies marching on the people. They've got guns, and for every zombie, they shoot him in the one shoulder. Doesn't stop him. Shoot him in the other shoulder, doesn't stop him. Shoot him in the chest, doesn't stop him. Finally, shoot him in the head, he goes down. Next zombie, shoulder.
Yes. You know, I actually,
dude,
I watched those two over again, the City of the Living Dead and From Beyond, and I'm watching From Beyond, and I'm going, oh my God, this is it's like he didn't learn anything.
No.
He just wasting bullets.
Is that also the movie where he loads bullets into the gun by putting them down the barrel? Or is that a different? These movies are like dreams. They're like dreams. It makes sense when you're dreaming them. When you get up and you're like, oh my God, I had the best idea for a movie. I'm going to write it down. Then you read it in the morning and you're like, oh. Well,
ooh, that's not very good.
My audience would have to be asleep for this to be good. And there they are.
So we have little Bob, which I love Bob. And I thought he was cute.
Me too.
Okay, well, what do I have?
Had these cute blue eyes and everything, but his voice.
Blue eyes. Oh my God!
I had to
from Dune
work.
Yeah.
I had to work at getting over that voice. You know, I was saying, don't let that bother you. Don't let that bother you. Just get used to it. But it was obviously not a kid's voice.
No.
Now she
was great too.
Giovanni Frezza and Sylvia Colatina, they're both excellent. They just they had some. If you watch the kid, he's doing a great job acting, even though I guess apparently Fulci made him cry once or twice to get something out of him. But,
yeah, you could do that back then.
Aw.
Yeah, I know it's terrible the way they.
But here's the thing too with children, and this is going to sound awful, but sometimes if you just say anything negative to a child, they get emotional and cry.
Right.
So we don't know what the circumstances were for sure there. I'm not trying to defend that, but I could say like, well, that wasn't very good, right? And then, I mean, that could... I'm not trying to defend that because
it may not have been at the level of when Jackie Coogan was a kid in the 30s and they would tell him that his dog got run over by a car because they wanted him to cry on camera. Okay, it probably wasn't that bad.
Oh,
only because they passed laws. But.
Oh, geez.
And these videos I saw were from, I think, from 2011 at like a Horror Hound weekend or something in Indianapolis. And the kid, who's obviously is an adult, he said, the first thing I want to say is, that's not my voice.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, I can imagine. He's like, oh my God, so bad. Why do I sound so horrible? Well, you know, why didn't he do his own ADR?
Well, maybe he didn't speak English, but
oh yeah,
I don't think
our children. There are English-speaking children actors. I've worked with a few. I'm sure they could have found some. It's not that.
But this is so much better than I watched a Santa and Blue Demon versus Dracula and the Wolfman last night, and they dubbed those, but it's where they spend more time trying to get the dubbed words to match the person's mouth. It's like they're doing a bad lip reading, and it comes out just absolutely ridiculous. It's like nobody would ever talk that way. Nobody would ever say those things. They don't even make complete sentences. You know,
you're right. They did make an effort to try to actually make the lips match the words, but I would vastly
That's
prefer.
silly.
I much rather watch a Godzilla movie where it doesn't look like they're saying "Here comes King Ghidorah," but that's what they say because "Here comes King Ghidorah." There's really no other way to put it.
Right.
I accept it.
And in this one, I think they're doing the other technique is to try to mouth the words in English or speak the words in English, even if it's like a bad accent. And then when they come in dub, they can. It looks pretty good.
Get it to match more or less. Sure. That makes a lot more sense, actually.
So 3 of our supporting people are Dagmar Sander, who plays the real estate agent. And we know her. I think she was the lead in Black Cat, wasn't she?
That may be. It wouldn't surprise me. Fulci does seem to tend to stick with people he likes.
He probably liked the people. Yeah,
we talked about that in our last. Yeah, she was.
Okay.
She was in the Black Cat.
Was Ania Peroni in anything else? Because she's a striking presence.
Yeah.
She does.
Her eyes are really beautiful.
Yeah.
She's got those Brooke Shields eyebrows.
I was just going to say Brooke Shields. Yeah, all the way.
Oh yeah.
And it worked when the mannequin that looked kind of like her. They were able to just big Groucho Marx eyebrows on a mannequin.
So you knew immediately who it was. Yep. Yeah. It's actually really smart.
She didn't do much else for Fulci, but she did Inferno and Tenebrae.
Oh, so she worked. Well, yeah, she looks like someone who came out of an Argento movie. I can totally see that.
And then Carlo DeMeo plays Mr. Wheatley. I don't know, he's in the library or something, or at the university, or where he's getting stuff for research. But he was one of the leads in City of the Living Dead.
Okay, I do remember that.
He's also got about the most lush head of hair of any human I've ever seen. It's like
I don't think he had the beard in City of the Living Dead.
Now, was he the guy who got his brain squeezed out from behind his head, or was he the guy who didn't get his brain squeezed out?
You know what? I can't remember. But he was walking around down there in that basement with.
So yeah, they all acquit themselves nicely, and 2 out of the 3 here die horribly. Why? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I guess so. I guess so. Dr. Freud can get his one good arm.
So we have another character in here that's well known to Fulci fans, I guess, which is Daniella Doria, who not sure how many Fulci movies she's in, but she dies in all of them.
Well, she's a good sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be it, because he's done lots of terrible stuff to her.
Is she the one who barfs her guts out?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, then she's a great...
Oh, yeah. She's the one. Okay, yeah. We talked about her.
She's also in The Black Cat. She's also in The New York Ripper. So...
She's also on the cover of so many old zines that I used to collect devoted to low-budget horror and Italian zombie stuff and everything. That picture on the bottom, I swear I have at least 2 magazines that have variations of that on their cover, either photographic or artwork.
Yeah.
Just that's a Fulci shot right there.
For sure.
Well, again, on these the videos that I watched, Gianetto De Rossi shows a little contraption that he built that's it's like round and spring-loaded and has the point of that knife in it. When you hit the release, the point of the knife comes out.
It looked great.
So she had to hold that in her mouth, have it pointed in the right direction. But then he goes on to laughingly tell the story about how it made her gag, and it took her a couple of days to get used to it so they could shoot the scene. Like, here.
The glamour of Hollywood. Hey,
see how long you can hold this.
Talk about not making sense. From the get-go, this movie, the premise is she and her boyfriend went into this house to have sex, and she's like, I'll never let you if you don't show up soon, I'm not going to ever let you take me back here again. It's like, this place is like made out of nothing but cobwebs, dust, and bat guano.
I think in that opening shot of her, you see I think you could see that tombstone in the floor too. So they're like apparently made love like right over that or close by that.
Maybe. Girl, you got to find yourself a better man than this.
For real. Mm-hmm.
Well, the monster, so to speak, in this is
not this
Dr.
guy.
Freudstein. Giovanni Danaba. Yeah. Dr. Freudstein. It is.
Just like
come up with this
name right there. Snappy dresser.
I mean, it does look pretty cool, though. Kind of.
It is cool. It makes no sense, but it's really cool. He's just like desiccated. Well, why has he got one good arm?
Because he chopped it off. The dad, remember?
No. Before he chops it off, though.
Oh, you mean why is one normal and one? Okay, maybe it's because he's been rejuvenating. Yeah,
you have to kill a stadium full of people if all the people that he kills in this movie manage to give him one working hand.
I know.
Well,
it's like,
according to these interviews, that every time you see his good hand, it's actually Sylvia Colatina's hand. Okay. The red-haired girl. And if you look at it, the hand is very small and almost kind of dainty. It's if you like there's one shot where the knife is coming out. It's very odd. Why would you do that except to have a big contrast? I guess I don't know. But if we didn't notice it, then I guess it wasn't big enough.
That's weird. That's a weird choice.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I would totally cosplay as this character.
Yeah, it's cool looking. He looks more like a sea creature or something, though, to me. Kind of like... It's kind of strange.
Like an alien.
Yeah. Like, Yeah.
Well, here's more shots of... Bob. So there's the hand, the bad hand.
That's why the hand seems not that big compared to his head.
Well, no, this hand is...
No, I'm talking about...
Special effects guy.
The regular
one
hand.
on the top? Yeah.
Yes.
One on the top. Yeah, that's her hand.
Yeah,
that's why it should seem way bigger compared to this little boy's head.
And his maggoty hand seems to be considerably larger.
Yep.
So Bill talked about this earlier. What happens in this shot is the father, after the mother's trying to unlock the door breaks the key and breaks the knife and every other thing, then the father comes along, grabs his hatchet and starts ripping in the door, and he tells Bob to stand back from the door, and the second he says okay, Freudstein comes up and shoves his face up against the door. So, and I don't know, I can't remember if the kid yelled or not, but Norman's pounding away at that door, and that hatchet comes in one side, then it comes in the other side. Now, I find this hard to believe, but this is what the kid said in the interviews as an adult.
I'm going to believe this.
That was actually real. That
what
his
was
head
real?
was there.
Oh!
And that they
What?
Now, I would think that they would at least like do a reverse thing of it, you know, like
What?
You'd think.
Have the hatchet through the door and then put his face up there close and have it come out or something, but that I don't know.
Yeah. It's
that's really no. That's so bad.
Hope, now I would not approve. I would not want to be a part of this, but I could see ways you could make it relatively safe by having like a steel plate on the side of the door that you're hitting so that there's no chance the person doing it would miss and go in the wrong place. I still think that should not be allowed.
Yeah, but you got two kids on the other side.
I know.
That's ridiculous. That should never happen. Period. There's no shot that's actually worth it.
No, absolutely not. But we're talking at a time when you watch those. Well, maybe not this time, but when you look at old Hollywood movies where bullets are flying, they shot at James Cagney to make sure they had bullets peeing off the wall. When Toshiro Mifune had to have arrows shot at him in Throne of Blood, they shot arrows at him. He was genuinely scared. That's not acting. That's terror. They got away with murder back then. It's just amazing more people didn't actually get murdered.
Yeah, like that's insane.
But how did they do the shots from City of the Dead where that pickaxe was coming so close to the woman's face? It looked. I mean, yeah, I guess they could have done reverse shots, but I don't think it didn't look.
I don't know. She said that she also said that freaked her out, and that the one thing from City of the Living Dead, the City of the Living Dead has that big maggot scene where they come, the wind's blowing and it's blowing, and it's mostly rice, but there's real maggots in there, and they glue the maggots on their face, and she said that she saw a little bit of some sadism in Fulci, that he seemed to really be in, because it really bothered her. And she said it hit the scene. He just kept the scene going and seemed to be enjoying her discomfort.
Oh, that's too bad. That really turns me off.
Yeah,
I wish I actually didn't know this.
Yeah.
No reason.
And they supposedly smeared like some kind of gel or paste on their face that was supposed to keep the maggots from
what?
From what? Biting them or something. I don't know. And they all said, who knows? It sounds. I never even thought about maggots biting you.
Yeah, the maggots don't. They smeared gel on their faces so the maggots would stick to them when they hit them. They told them, "Oh, this will keep the maggots from biting." And it's like, no. When you blast your face full of maggots, there's going to be a whole bunch hanging on. That's the real reason.
All right, so some special.
That's not how I run my sets.
Of course not. But I mean, like, I guess I just go, wow.
Yeah.
It's like Rogue, but different times. You gotta always like put it in context, because this is how it's done. Heads will roll. There we go.
Heads will roll.
So this is one of our unanswered questions. May, the little red-haired girl that is actually a ghost, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is standing out across the street looking.
This is weird. This is
in
so
the shop
weird.
window, and there's this mannequin in there that looks just like Anya Peroni, although we haven't met her yet in the movie. And then all of a sudden, her head just falls off.
Yeah,
it gets chopped. Someone chops it off, don't they? I thought someone actually chopped it.
Does something come through? At any rate, the mannequin bleeds.
So weird.
So you think, okay, so this little girl is a psychic, but then it turns out she's dead.
Right.
So she's a psychic ghost. Is that a thing? I guess.
Well, I mean, if you're a ghost, why not know the future? What does it matter?
Well, she's always trying to like send negative waves to people. Don't go in. No, but nobody listens.
Doesn't work.
And then the top picture is Anya Peroni head. So the bottom one is made to look like a mannequin's head, and the top one is made to look like the real head.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, they're both pretty good.
Yeah. The mannequin,
Yeah,
it was
they're both
obvious that you knew it was her. So it was done well enough for that. So that's good. You know, it's like, well, that's successful, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But that's after she gets caught on the wrong side of the door, and doesn't Freudstein come up to her with a knife and like cut her on one side of the neck and then the other side of the neck?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. Well, she just stands there screaming.
I know. It's like,
and it's all done. And then there's the bat scene.
Which it starts out good and gets ludicrous.
I know.
As far as fake bats go, it's not great, but it's better than anything Hammer ever did. I've always harped on the fact that Hammer couldn't do bats to save their life. And at first it looks pretty good when it's caught in her hair and all. But then, you know, as he's stabbing it, that scene goes on forever and ever, and there's more blood coming out of that bat than any bat could
Well,
possibly.
it looks like they cut it like in the, I don't know. He stabs it, and then it looks like blood comes out of like 6 different stab wounds.
Yeah.
You know, like,
he's stabbing it as he's holding it, which is very poor technique.
well, it was holding on to him with its teeth, right?
Yeah. And I can see that he would be sore because, you know, he's going to have to get all kinds of needles stabbed into his abdomen for rabies. But why the bat attack? I don't know. Bats don't usually
attack her first, Lucy.
No, it bit the dad first, didn't it? It bit the dad first, and then it attacked her, and he just sat there for a second, and then he got it off of her. So technically, it was him first, and then she looked, and then it went to her. And I just remember thinking, here we go again with this long scene, because she was being attacked forever, and he did nothing. He's just like, I'm like, are you not going to help her or something? Are you not going to help her at all? You're not going to do anything? And then finally.
Yeah.
And then that's when it really got going. Yeah.
Well, that was a common fear when
key
we were
parts of
kids
these
that bats
movies.
would get in your hair.
Yeah, really.
My sister was always afraid
Whenever
of
somebody
that.
gets attacked, none of the other characters can move until the attack's over.
No, they're frozen with fear.
But wait, there was a fear that bats were going to get in your head.
Yes, that was something we were told as
yeah.
kids growing up, that bats would get tangled in your hair.
Oh man, I can remember when I was a kid, there was a bat in my grandparents' house, and all the women in the house put newspapers over their head so the bats wouldn't get in their hair. I'm not kidding.
Never heard
right. Exactly right.
That's
I have never heard anything like
Crystal,
that.
your
before.
hair would be just like
Oh, my hair.
I
Yeah, and it would stick, let me tell you. And I just cut 6 inches off of my hair. I cut over, and look how long it still is. It's like, there's just so much of it.
Yep.
Woof.
So one more. This is Gittleson.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. I think that looked really good.
It
That was
did,
fun.
and in the top picture, he's coming at her with, Freudstein's coming at her with some, it's like a poker, but it's not. It's just a long metal cone-shaped rod. And I saw, again, on one of these videos, I have that right, DeRossi. I hate that. Yeah, DeRossi. He made this thing. It's a retractable spring-loaded thing, but when you look at it, I couldn't see it.
No. Mm-mm.
But then he comes along, and first he pokes it in her chest. I didn't put that picture up, and then moves to her neck, and then it's got that shot of the blood bubbling up out of her neck, or gurgling, or shooting up like a pulse. Right? I didn't. So. But then, as he does with everybody, when he's done, he grabs her heel and drags him downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
That was They have this face. I mean, if you look at the middle shot, the bottom shot, her face is in a lot worse condition. Mm-hmm. There's much more damage, and they said that the censors requested that be cut. I saw 2 different things. One said Fulci cut it because he didn't like the effects. Another one said the censors did it. And then a third one said the censors asked for it and Fulci didn't like it, so he didn't argue with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was. Yeah. He's like, okay.
For a Fulci movie with so many close-up of eyes, there's surprisingly little eye injury because that's kind of
yeah.
known for. So I well believe that he just wasn't happy with the effect.
Yep.
He had a kind of a reputation to live up to of you know, the zombie splinter in the eye is kind of the high point of injury to the eye motif. So if the effects came out subpar, I can see where he would cut them out.
So this is the kind of hard to see, but this is the house
by the cemetery.
Night and the day.
Yeah.
And
cool looking house.
See some headstones sticking out.
It is.
Not in very good shape, but it was very well. This is another case where they did a good job of the production design and the art direction. There's a one room that he's working in. I think is at a library or something, but it has those red. I don't know what that is on the wall, but it's a red textured something.
Oh, that was so pretty.
And then a lot of walls where
cool.
you know, where pictures used to hang. You know, so they got that part in there. So even though there aren't pictures there, it just looks
creepy.
It's
beautiful. Yep.
Yeah. It's well done.
So again, I think his a lot of the folks were his. I don't know. I think Sergio Salvati was his regular cinematographer at that time. He did Zombie. So yeah, there's the house.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
The house is cool.
The house is cool. So I was trying to figure out. There's so the first female victim gets the knife through her head. The boyfriend's dead. I think did he have like scissors stabbed in his chest or something? He was hanging on the door there. Something sticking out.
He was all messed up. His face.
Yeah.
He was all messed up. Then Mrs. Gittleson, she gets the poker treatment. Then Anne gets stabbed and her head cut off. Her throat slit, head cut off. Then Norman gets his throat ripped out. By Freudstein. And I tried to find a picture of this, but after he stabs Freudstein in the stomach, and all that
gush comes out.
Fulci always has a scene in there where there's something in there that makes you go, ooh, not just blood and graphic gore. It's like, ew, there's like, what is that?
Because it's grody. See, that's the thing about much doesn't gross me out, and definitely gore, but the maggots and stuff. And I know that's real. It's so obvious that it's real. It's not fake. And that's nasty.
That's what grosses you out. Even if you can't suspend your disbelief and this is just a movie. It's like it's just a movie, but whatever the hell that is, I would not want to touch it.
Nope.
Yeah.
So Norman, then Lucy, who dies from head bouncing on stairs, I guess, as she's dragged down the stairs.
Yes, that was. Oh my God! But the way it was done to it, how you saw her from the side, I was dying. It's so funny.
That was the one.
I was like, okay, and it just felt like there were like a million stairs. So funny.
And then presumably the child, but we didn't. Thankfully, mercifully.
Yeah, I think that was actually the perfect way to do that.
Right.
It's like, okay, what was going to happen to him anyway? Both of his parents were dead and everything, and so now he, Yeah,
apparently Freudstein's, was it Freudstein's wife or just another Freudstein? Mary Freudstein, who does have a headstone. Dr. Freudstein doesn't. Mary Freudstein has a headstone. She takes the children walking down the road saying it's time to go home.
Oh, kind of sad, but...
So that's 6 people. Then we also killed a mannequin and a bat and a door. We chopped a door.
Yeah, they definitely killed a door.
So anyway, that's always fun talking about Fulci because everything is so crazy.
It is.
So one thing I thought that was interesting, Bill, you know who Brother Theodore is?
Oh yes.
He did the voiceovers for the U.S. trailers.
Yes, he did. And if you get the chance, go to YouTube and watch it because Brother Theodore was quite the character. I did some of my favorite all-time trailers, Horror of the Blood Monsters, and a few other, Mad Doctor of Blood Island. It sounds like he's just riffing, like he's going off on his own thing, which he may well have done. He's just got a unique voice. Yeah, that's a fun trailer.
So in different places I found this information about the writers, but the screenwriter Dardano Sacchetti was inspired by Henry James' The Turn of the Screw.
Oh yeah, okay. I can see
that.
I could see it. Yeah.
I can see that more than Lovecraft. That's
for sure, absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
And he said it was also based on his own personal experience as a child, being born in a large country house with a large dark basement, and having to cross a cemetery at night when he was a little kid. So, but then apparently this was sort of not unusual. The script was revised by Fulci and Giorgio Mariuzzo. And Mariuzzo claimed he worked as a script doctor, slightly changing the work, stating that Sacchetti's scripts were often too short.
Yeah. So what? He added a couple of scenes where people walked around the house calling out names,
or just screamed, the high pitched shrill.
And then Sacchetti himself said Mariuzzo always intervened afterwards, either because I had to leave to work on another film and refused to make those changes that Lucio demanded. That was the reason for our arguments. And then Fulci says, after making The Black Cat and the Beyond, that he wanted a film in tribute to H.P. Lovecraft without it being based on one of his stories, but written as if he existed within the universe.
That is like nothing. This is nothing that Lovecraft would have freaking. There's no creature. I mean, I guess if you want to make a serious stretch and say that the monster is an alien that comes from the deep and feeds on
Reanimator.
Yeah.
I think it's a real stretch.
Yeah.
All right.
That's House by the Cemetery.
Yeah.
And he was 8. The kid was 8 during the film.
Oh, he was such a wee babe.
Yeah.
And did you notice that final line, the Henry James?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's made up.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fulci just made up the line and said.
Sounds like something he'd say.
Wow. That's.
All right. Italian filmmakers.
Let's class up the joint by putting in a fake quote from a famous writer.
We're going to call this
that's
City
hilarious.
of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
To try to play off of Dawn of the Dead. Anyway. All right. We do have some feedback.
I say we have a lot of feedback.
Do we?
Fair amount. Let's see. How much time?
Probably not as much as we had last time.
I don't know if we have time to get through all of this.
It'll be decent. And well, I'll start with Bill.
Okay.
We get a lot of. This is Evil Genius catching up. Apparently, he was away for a while and came back.
Watched
on Leviathan number 204.
Okay.
Oh.
Evil Genius. Okay, so I think that this is the one where you guys mentioned doing Excalibur. By all means, yes, please do Excalibur. Granted, it is more fantasy, but it certainly has some aspects of horror to it, particularly in the Grail Quest portion of the film. The scenery and the mood is brutal. This film is one of the best of the early 80s. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Leviathan. Decent movie, LOL.
Yeah. He's not wrong. He's...
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, Crystal, can you take the next one, which is Evil Genius on Life Force?
Okay. This one goes into the how did I miss this category. Though it is probably because I always confuse this one with Cocoon for some reason. What?
I'm sorry.
Like totally different. Yeah. I'm glad that I got to experience the 80s once again. Overall, I enjoyed it. Yes, it is goofy, but it is a fun ride. The strange blood face in the helicopter reminds me of when Superman threw the giant cellophane S
at
Non. Oh yeah. Oh my God. in Superman 2. Yeah, there's no explanation for either except maybe highballs and cocaine. Superman 2 is one of my favorite too. Kneel before Zod. My only real negative take on the movie is the scoring. Okay. The music made me feel more like I should be hunting pirates with Horatio Hornblower in the Caspian Sea rather than fearing the existence of space vampires. Why is that so funny? Oh my God.
Okay. I have to say, when you say, I always confuse this with Cocoon.
Cocoon of all things.
I'm going to steal one of your lines. That's like a sledgehammer to my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like Cocoon? Oof. I do love Cocoon, though.
We also have
Lone
Lone
Wolf.
Wolf.
Grandmother.
We also have Lone Wolf on Life Force. Bill?
That's okay.
If we had to rank the horror women in the sexiest all-time list, Mathilda has to be a top 10 for me. Life Force definitely feels like a Quatermass. In fact, it feels like it only took a page out of all the Quatermass films. The first Earthbound section reminded me of Creeping Unknown. The Vampire Possession reminds me of Enemy from Space. And the chaotic third act is 5 million years to Earth. That's actually very spot on. Life Force obviously has a little bit of Alien in O'Bannon's writing, and the film is spiced with Last Man on Earth. Much like Bill, I find myself constantly being drawn to the movie. I thank Phil May for that. It's uneven, but it's one of those films where the journey is more important than the destination.
There's so much energy in the movie too, though. For some reason, you know, like it's not just her, although she's super hot, and I get that, and that's. But there's, I don't know what it is about Life Force. It's one of those movies you watch and you're just like, that's hot. Just the whole thing. It's weird and yeah. I don't know. It's odd.
All right. Then we have a couple on Vamp, episode 207. Evil Genius again.
Okay. That's
go
me.
ahead, Crystal. You can.
Go ahead, Crystal. Go ahead.
Never saw this one, but I think I'll add this to the list. However, I feel that I need to defend the honor of A View to a Kill. I love A View to a Kill. Just like, yes, Roger was a bit long in the tooth, but that I felt that he played well opposite an up-and-coming Christopher Walken. As for Grace Jones, as Mayday, her character had a nice, complete arc for a Bond villain henchman, as she did stick around near the end, and it was her sacrifice that redeemed her character and saved Silicon Valley. After that, it was the final battle between Bond and Zorin on top of the Golden Gate Bridge. It was a great Bond movie. And oh my God, it has one of the best freaking Bond movie songs ever. Period. Ever. Like, yeah, it's so good. So good.
Yeah. And Bill? There's one from Lone Wolf on Vamp.
On Vamp, Lone Wolf says, House 3 was my introduction to Dee Dee Pfeiffer when she played Lance Henriksen's daughter. That weird scene with her being pregnant with the supernatural killer's baby was so disgusting. I love her performance in this, and we chuckle at the fact that the strap of her top kept slipping down to the side.
Yeah.
So confused on whether or not she was a vampire. Am I missing something? I remember the surveillance camera mirror thing not showing her reflection. Kudos to Crystal mentioning Grace Jones and Boomerang. I was dying of laughter thinking of the strange scene in that movie. I watched Vamp for the first time a month ago on Tubi, and I'm happy that I was able to complete the collection of the key vampire movies from the 1980s. Vamp, Fright Night, The Hunger, Near Dark, and The Lost Boys. That's a good collection there. Vamp does have that 80s teen comedy feel to it, but mixed with a great performance by the great Grace Jones. I think I'm going to watch it again.
Okay, so it's Strange. No, it's Strange.
I saw the accent on there.
Yeah, like if you haven't seen Boomerang, you have.
I'll watch it now.
It's amazing. It's
my pronunciation.
It's got Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry. It's
okay.
And Robin Givens. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And actually, what's funny is Halle Berry is the ugly girl. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what? Yeah. It's weird.
Okay, we're down to our last one from our last episode, 208, Evil Dead Trap, also from Evil Genius. I told you he was catching up.
Yeah.
Yay.
I can't remember. Where were we at?
I think it's Crystal's
turn. Yeah.
Okay. You asked for help, so another clue for my YouTube profile pic and Patreon pic. It's from a movie starring David Warner. The movie is about time, but it is not time after time. That should give it away. It's Time Bandits, obviously. Yeah.
Right, and we figured it out because I cheated and did reverse.
There you go.
Picture search.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know how to do that. Do you know that? I wish I did. Because there's some photos I'm like, I should know how to do that. If Jeff can do it and I can't, oh my God.
Oh, you can do it. I'll tell you off there. Or Bill can tell you.
Anyhow, the movie. I really need to check this movie out. It sounds fun. It's interesting when it's interesting when the topic of cultural appropriation came up. I do agree with Chad, or was it Bill's take? It is too prone to knee-jerk reactions from people. When you were talking about influences on the movie, and then a yellow rain slicker was mentioned, I immediately thought Alice, Sweet Alice. Ugh, isn't that? Was Brooke Shields in that one?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. That movie is also very giallo based, but Alice, Sweet Alice is an American production. Yep. My thoughts are, if you are treating the cultural subject respectfully, then people should back off and enjoy the interplay of two cultures. I agree. Mm-hmm. You were also talking about Astro Boy and Kimba, the White Lion, and its creator Osamu Tezuka. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, Disney notoriously... Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, Disney... I'm sorry. Well, Disney notoriously ripped off Kimba, the White Lion, with the Lion King. Well, duh. Now that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. People asked him if he was upset about it and publicly said no. Very early in his career, he was similarly inspired by Walt Disney's Bambi. He is considered the father of modern manga, which itself heavily influenced modern anime. So culture exchange is very, very good. That's actually interesting. He probably did mean it when he said no. If he was inspired by Bambi, he realized that that's, what imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, Yeah. God, that is messing me up with the Lion King now. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, obviously when you read,
I think we were talking about it because of the voice of Hideki, I think, in there was the guy that did the voice of the little, one of the characters in Astro Boy. Can't remember which one it was. Anyway. All right. Well, thanks, Lone Wolf and Evil.
Yeah.
Guys, appreciate it. Good comments.
Very informative. Learned stuff.
Yeah, insightful and informative. And by the way, those 80s vampire movies all have decades of horror episodes.
That's right.
A couple of them, too, maybe. At least Near Dark. I know there's 2 Near Darks. All right. That's it for this episode, but every 2 weeks we'll be focusing on a specific film between 1980 and 1989. Next one is chosen by Bill. What are we doing, Bill?
We are doing a chance. I'll never pass up a chance to talk about the guy who got me into film, into fantasy film. One of the greatest dream creators of all time, Ray Harryhausen's last film, Clash of the Titans, the original.
It's one of my favorites ever.
So some people might argue about it being horror, but isn't there like
it's got Medusa.
Got the best Gorgon ever.
Yeah.
Scorpions.
So if you would consider Stranger Things horror, then this would be horror. Because they both have a demigorgon. Yeah, so, I'm just saying.
With a broad brush here, so.
It does have like a Pegasus and stuff, but that only lightens it. It doesn't take away from the horror.
But it's stop motion animation, so it's cool no matter what it is. So,
oh my God, the owl. Oh my God, I haven't seen it in a long time. So Harry Hamlin, oh my God, he was so hot too. I just remember being like, oh, he's so dreamy.
Laurence Olivier getting a paycheck. It's got everything.
Was long before L.A. Law, right? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it Harry Hamlin in L.A. Law?
Yeah,
I don't know. I never saw
L.A.
Law.
Well,
sorry.
Hey, we got to go. Funny ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or comment on the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, alert. Share with your friends. Tell your friends. If you know anybody else who likes horror movies, or thinks they don't like horror movies but don't
We'll
realize
try
all the crossovers, please leave comments. We love comments. So catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only decades of horror can do it. Thanks so much, guys, and Chad will be back next episode, I'm sure.
He better have power by then.
Yeah.
We'll have to band together and buy him a generator or
Call him
something.
out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.